Or a 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three! And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Bill Callahan fan club president, Jake Bakoven.
I love Billy Steve.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bob. Hold up.
Happy Wednesday to all the blockheads out there. This is On the Block on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Jake Buckman. He is Oscar Hall of Famer, longtime NBA vet, Eric Strickland. And Strick, how are you doing on this fine day, sir?
Hump day, baby. We made it half the way through. We arrived. We on the block. It's a great day. Some great topics to discuss today. Both good. You know, we'll see how bad it gets, you know, when you're dealing with some stuff that's kind of still out in the air and the ether, when you're talking about, you know, like what the USFL is going to do. You know, you're talking about issues like that. Sometimes it's hard to know how that's going to go, but we're going to dig into it because there's some good things there. Some wonderful things happening in the NCAA for some people out in the ACC we'll be talking about. So it's good, man. It's a good day to be on the block.
Yeah, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but I also saw on your Instagram that you might be delving into some acting. Have you done that before?
I have not. Not. I'd like to think that I'm an actor when I did, you know, some of my charges and and I'm kind of a clown in character. Sometimes I get into character in some games, but nonetheless, it's an interesting thing that I'm delving into. Ginger Snap Productions has put out a movie called Intention. It's going to be on like Tubi. It's going to be on Amazon, and it's not like, you know, Top Gun, or it's not like, you know, Universal top of the line, but it's something that's going to be interesting. I'll be playing the CEO of a company, and you know, kind of some situations have come to play. I'm kind of an affair dude and cheater a little bit, so I have a few little roles in there that'll be pretty fun.
So you got quite a bit of lines. You're not just kind of thrown in there then.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few good scenes in there, maybe 3 or 4.
That's cool.
That I'll be a part of. So yeah, it's not just kind of like a, you know, a little extra role or anything like that. Yeah, I've got some words I got to say.
Yeah, I've got. I did one thing. It was an executive producer, is what they call it, which really means I just threw this guy.
Throw some money in there.
Few phones in there to put me in a scene, and all I think I had like 2 words, or maybe 3, and that's all. I'm not an actor. I just wanted to be in a movie, so I tried that. It's same, you know, similar thing. You know, you probably lesser skill because it was in Lincoln, but a small little role. It's kind of fun. You know, you always want to try to be in a movie, and now you got your opportunity to. So
yeah,
it's gonna be. I can't wait for that. That'll be cool. You've never had any like stage experience or anything like that? You just
you know, when you're younger, you know, you play in
right.
The little plays and stuff like that in school, but yeah, nothing outside of that. I had a couple of opportunities to do some stuff, but I think I was a little weary, a little scared. You know, I was still playing basketball. My focus was there. I didn't want to distract myself too much, and so I kind of passed over on some stuff a little bit earlier. But yeah, I think this is pretty cool. You know, I got the script read, and you know, ended up landing in it, so it was good.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. When is about this gonna come out?
We're gonna shoot sometime in June, July timeframe, and it'll probably be out sometime towards the end of the year, fall, maybe end of the year. Mm-hmm.
Very cool. We'll look out.
I'll keep it posted. Yeah. I'll keep everybody posted on the block.
Yeah. We're very, very cool. Very excited for that. So that's very cool. Before we get into the NCAA stuff I was talking about, kind of an interesting story kind of popped out throughout the day is that the Dodgers did end up winning their game, but Clayton Kershaw had a perfect game, which hadn't been done since 2012 through 7 innings. And they decided to pull him. Just six outs left. Obviously, a lifetime Dodger. Has been one of the best pitchers of the modern day. Probably one of the best pitchers of all time. So, you know, maybe you feel a little bit less bad because it's Clayton Kershaw. He does have a no-hitter. You understand it's early in the season. You want to keep his arm fresh, all that stuff. But what do you think about pulling a guy when he was 6 outs away from a perfect game?
Yeah, I think in those situations, especially earlier in the season, Kershaw had some injury type situations that he's kind of coming off of as well. I think they probably had a pitch count number, and it got up to that area. And when you talk about 6 more outs, you're still talking about a good pinch count that can get up in the 20s, maybe in the maybe 20s, mid maybe between 20 and 30. So that's a lot more pitches if you're still kind of trying to come off and be healthy, and it's early in the season, and there's no use of straining that situation. Just close it out, get the win. And I understand what it means to have a no-hitter because they're so rare that they happen. So, you feel bad about that, but I'm sure he feels more better about the win. As long as nobody blew the save and killed the game for him, I'm sure he feels a lot better about that.
Yeah, they did end up winning. I think it was 7-0. I have to go double check. Maybe 9-0.
I mean, so his ERA is phenomenal right now. His ERA is so. I mean, even in the likes of that, yeah. I mean, and then I do believe that they're probably watching his velocity. They're probably watching his location and different things like that, and just came to a conclusion like, yeah, the ball's starting to rise, or the ball's getting a little flat. And if you're throwing flat balls in the zone, they're gonna get pounded. And so you just don't want a team to get a rally. You want to go ahead and start off on a good note, and you want to preserve your pitcher's arm.
Well, that and I do think the fact that he's Clayton Kershaw might have played into it a little bit. Not so much, his age, all that stuff. Like if it's a younger guy, definitely you're not as worried about the pitch count and that sort of thing. But if it's one of your veterans and he's not known, he doesn't have any all-star appearance. Clayton Kershaw, 3-time Cy Young winner, again, very very much has a bunch of awards to hang up. But if he's another guy that would be like the peak of his career, maybe you would kind of think about it a little bit differently. But for Kershaw, maybe you just say, well, he's got enough, feathers in his cap. He doesn't need another feather. We'll just preserve the arm today. So it's kind of interesting. I'd still, as Nate was kind of putting it, is baseball seems to always kind of get it in its own way, right? I mean, you had the chance to have one of your big name guys really do something special to start the year and start the maybe get kind of all the attention on SportsCenter and all that stuff tonight. But you've got to think about the way they're thinking too, right? They're thinking dynasty, they're thinking championships, they're thinking the long haul, and that that's a great thing for you individually, but in the long haul of things, especially with his ability and what they're going to need for him and from him. Late in the season, let's go ahead and give him what he needs and get his rest in. Not to mention what they pay him. The Dodgers are.
Hey, listen, I would. There's no greater frustration than a fielder and the work we have to do every day, and to watch them suckers sitting out in the dugout eating sunflower seeds and playing and throwing long toss and chilling. And just running a few laps and doing stuff like that for their workout, where we're running bases, hitting batting practice, and doing field work. And shoot, man, I should have been a pitcher.
Yeah, maybe you should have. Did you ever have an arm? Did you, as a kid, did you try?
Well, based on when they came out to do my draft workout, there was like probably about 10 or 11 MLB teams that came out. They rated me an above average arm. I had a couple of assists on throwing out players at the plate. So I did have that a couple of times. So I had above average arm, played in right field. So yeah, I was okay. I wouldn't say I had a super arm, but
yeah. Well, you just think if they did put you as a pitcher, like you said, maybe less, more downtime, more fun for you. Yeah. But it would basically limit all the athletic ability that you bring to the table. Then you're just kind of stuck up there on the mound. Great if you have a good enough arm, but obviously that kind of takes away what you were bringing to the table. Let's get to this, because NCAA basketball, obviously March Madness just ended, the other week ago, in somewhat of a controversial fashion, as North Carolina's Armando Bacot had the floor kind of cave on him. Now they've come out and said that didn't happen or whatever. I saw it with my own eyes. I don't know.
I saw it too.
People are, I don't know why that storyline wasn't bigger than it probably should have been in my mind. But in any case,
lawsuit money. We didn't see nothing.
That's right. That seems to be the way that everybody's looking at it. But in any case, he's one of the Baycott, for what it's worth, was probably the driving factors for the Tar Heels as an 8 seed, making that run for Hubert Davis in his first year. He averaged 16.1 points per game and ranked third in the country with 13.1 rebounds. Also was the first player in NCAA tournament history with 6 double-doubles in one tournament. Just an absolute beast of the boards. And for a thin North Carolina team, for what it's worth, when he went down, North Carolina definitely felt it.
Yeah, either him or Manek. Whenever he or Manek went out, it was a definite loss for them.
Yeah, and I'm always going to remember that team as basically having 5 guys if you include Leaky Black, but 4 guys offensively that they could rely on at all. That whole run, which was kind of crazy, and everything just got to go right for them. They couldn't get in foul trouble, couldn't get injured, and we saw by the end when that did happen that they got in trouble. In any case, for all he did in college basketball, and what a special run it was, it didn't seem to be running up his prospects for the NBA draft, which, of course, he doesn't have the ability to stretch the floor. He's kind of an old school big, and we know at the NBA, that's kind of limiting your role at this point in time if that's what you do. So he decided today, and it was announced today, he's returning to North Carolina to play another year. Unless you're a North Carolina fan, maybe you don't care. But as a college basketball fan overall, I think that this is important because it might be the first wave of players we see here of guys that are really going to benefit off of NIL, probably make more money here than they do. You don't get a guaranteed contract if you're a second-round draft pick. He's not sneaking into the first round at this point. So maybe could make more money in the NIL sphere, especially at a place like North Carolina, especially coming off a national championship appearance, the Final Four, all the money that makes. But not just him. You kind of think about, some of the other players that are out there, as we talked about Kofi Cockburn, who's been an All-American, Sheboy, who was the National Player of the Year at Kentucky. These kind of traditional bigs. Do you think that March Madness, or not March Madness, NCAA basketball altogether, these guys can kind of find a spot there and stay till their senior year type of thing because of NIL money that wasn't there in the past, where we could start to see more college basketball stars? And yes, they may be big men. They may not translate to the NBA, but those guys that are able to stick around and really benefit off of the NIL money instead of like we've seen the past 20 years, where if you get a sniff of being a second round draft pick, you might as well just go take that choice. And college basketball loses not just its stars, but its guys that are kind of on the come up every year to that. You'll see several guys undrafted, several guys second round. You forget about them. They're in Europe a year later, all that sort of stuff. I think that this NIL thing, maybe not just with Baycott, but like some of those other names I was mentioning, throw Hunter Dickinson in there as well at Michigan. You can have more stars stick around for the NCAA season year in and year out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what you've seen. You've seen that the Drew Timmies, the Baycotts. I venture to say that Manek would probably have a better chance at doing well in the draft than probably Baycott, even though Baycott probably did much more in production as a whole than Manek. Manek also plays pretty good defense inside. I mean, he still needs to work on his footwork, so he'll probably be drafted in the second round just because of his shooting ability. But Hunter Dickinson, there's inconsistencies there. And I think the UIL will provide a means for which they can come back, feel good about coming back, and then putting in the work, because that's the area that they're going to have. That's why Derek Walker, they're going to have to work in those areas of being able to stretch the floor. There's a reason why Joel Embiid, the traditional big man coming into the league, is now become a viable threat from the three, and which made him dang near an MVP. That is the same thing you saw from Giannis Antetokounmpo when he first came into the league. He would just run you down, his athleticism. But I told everybody, I said, if he doesn't work on that range, he will be good, but his scouting report will catch up with him. And then obviously they started to pack the paint. Even LeBron had to work on it. All guys that have those abilities to with strength and to get into the basket and to get with their user athleticism, they eventually have to be able to stretch the floor. That's what makes Durant, so good at what he does. So the one thing that I think is good for the NCAA basketball is those foundational pieces that we talked about. having those foundational pieces, as well as that experience, as well as those type of players, the Shibways and the likes of them coming back to your program, puts you in a stable position to be able to make another run, because you're going to have another cycle of those guards. Here's another thing that you saw. You saw a lot of those slashers, those Scottie Pippen types, those 6'8", 6'7" guys, usually are the ones that are jumping out, or you've got the really good point guard types, scoring guard types that come out. But those slasher type players usually try to come out and they end up not going as high as they thought, unless they made a significant run in the latter part of their season, which made them a more, in the eye of the scouts, somebody that they would like to draw into their organization. Or you get those top tier type slasher guys that fall late. They fall to a good team. They're not necessarily going to be counted upon so early, which allows them to grow, i.e. your Kawhi Leonards. So that's why I think, the UIL is going to help tremendously, because unless you're a Jalen Green type, one of these young, maybe a Mikey Williams, who will be coming out soon. I venture to say that LeBron probably, or Bronny James should probably go to college. He may not, he may forego and go the G League route, unless you're that type of guy, or for sure you're going to be a two-way player where you get more money in the G League. You're not gonna make that much, and you'll end up missing out. That's why the UIL is a viable option now for making the college basketball game a little bit better when you're solidifying those foundational pieces on your team.
And for Bacot specifically, I guess, the only comparison that I can kind of think of is kind of like a Tristan Thompson. Could he carve out a niche in the league, do you think, with his current skill set?
Yeah, I mean, a walking double-double, if you're able to get 13, 16, and then 12, 13 rebounds a game, oh yeah. I even think he's even more skilled than Tristan Thompson. And Tristan Thompson's still in the league. I think he is like a Clint Capella type who secures the rim a little bit. And Clint Capella, he kind of found himself getting kind of passed down a little bit because he didn't expand his game. I think Bacot has touch. You can see it in his free throw shooting. You think, he's got a nice touch about him. So I think he's very capable of expanding his range. And I think he's smart to come back and work on that area. And I think Hubert Davis understands that, and Hubert Davis will begin to transition probably him into a Manic type for next year, where they'll probably do some stuff like that and take advantage of that. And they'll be working at it tremendously hard, I assume, during the off season.
One final thing I wanted to mention to you before we got to break. I saw this on Twitter. Coach now, Bruce Chubbuck Jr. is now the new head coach over there at Omaha
South
Central.
Central. He's Central. You took the Central job.
He just took the Central job today, is what he announced. So
shout out Bruce Chubb Rock.
Yeah.
Shout out to Bruce Chubb Rock. Yeah, I got love for you, my guy. We're gonna have to get Bruce Chubb Rock on the show again soon.
Yeah, that was awesome when he came on the first time, and now he's taking jobs over at Omaha Central, which is at times a powerhouse. So we'll see what he can kind of do there. That'll be kind of exciting, and some former Husker news there in the coaching community. Let's take a quick break here on the block. When we come back, let's catch up with our friend Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. We'll run down some of the spring game results, also some of the goings on in sports as of today. So we'll do that next here on the block with Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald next.
Hello, I'm Charlie Stone, back with the latest news from Honda of Lincoln. Joining me now is the general manager, Andy Goodyear. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, with spring right around the corner, how is your supply of new Hondas and pre-owned vehicles?
Really good, Charlie. As I've said before, when you drive by our lot, you don't see what you're looking for, just remember we have hundreds of new Hondas arriving soon, with Honda continuing to offer 0.9% APR financing to qualified buyers. Plus, we have over 125 pre-owned vehicles in stock and ready for immediate delivery.
That's great, Andy. Any more great news?
There is, Charlie. Honda just announced financing from 0.99% APR on certified pre-owned Hondas for qualified buyers.
So come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path.
Sponsored by DHHS and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go. Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
Join us at Cactus by Venue for our new America's Favorites menu. We're keeping your favorite dips and tacos and adding brand new dishes, including delicious steaks, burgers, pastas, and more. Focusing on vibrant casual dining using a blend of fresh ingredients prepared from scratch. Located at 56 and Highway 2 in the Edgewood Shopping Center, see the whole menu online at cactusbyvenue.com and order yours to go at venuedelivered.com. Cactus by Venue, America's Favorites.
In today's day and age, people are trying to do more and more projects by themselves. That might be better on the wallet, but it can also lead to painful sounds like this. Ow! Poor guy, trying to do wiring all by himself. Let's have another listen. It's just not worth it. Don't hurt yourself or make things worse than they are already. For any of your electric needs, call Joe at Ambition Electric today at 402-217-3415 or go to ambitionelectric.com.
Brown Shoe Fit is gearing up for spring with new inventory on the way. They're stocking up on new spring sandals and athletic shoes daily in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Keen, Merrell, On, and many, many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrax. Spring is the season to be active and busy. Don't let your feet lose their support with old rundown shoes or sandals. Stop by Brown's Shoe Fit today, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Spring has arrived. Dust off your clubs and play the city. Lincoln City Golf Courses offer 5 different places to play, including Homes, Pioneers, Highlands, Mahoney, and the Par 3 Jim Ager course. Plus, one membership gets you access to all 5 courses, or ask about a discount card that gets you 15% off all rounds. There's also adult classes with lessons for every level with Lincoln City Golf Academy. Learn more about membership and classes today at lincolncitygolf.org.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Happy Wednesday to everybody out there. This is On the Block here on The Ticket. I am Jake Bachman. He is Eric Strickland, and we are joined, as always, on Wednesdays by our friend Evan Bland over at the Omaha World Herald. And we've got plenty of sports questions for you, Evan, but I did want to start with just to kind of learn about your experience there over there at Haymarket Park during a tornado warning. How did that go?
Yeah, that was a thing that happened. I don't think I've gone through that. This is my 6th year covering the baseball team. And I mean, we've had weather delays and lightning delays like last night. But when the sirens started going off and there were tornadoes spotted in the area, they had everybody go down to the main floor and seek shelter indoors. So people, the bathrooms and offices and things like that. And I joined a few hundred fans and friends inside the Salt Dogs offices in one of the cubicles there. So, not the way that I expected the night to go, but obviously they have protocols and everybody did a good job following those. And thankfully, it didn't come down to anything too serious, but, April in the Midwest, you're going to get some wacky weather, and man, we sure had some of that on Tuesday.
Yeah, now you can say you've seen different parts of Haymarket Park than you ever thought you'd see before. But in any case, as far as the baseball side of it goes, was there any idea about kind of what they're going to do with that game where Nebraska had a lead after 3 innings when it was last called off?
Right. So Nebraska led 1-0 after 3. And so, the first kind of thing that you would think is just play it today. But as it turns out, Creighton was flying out to St. John's for a Big East series this weekend. They were leaving early this morning, so that wasn't a possibility. And the teams will announce something later on. I can say that they're hoping to maybe play it in early May. It's just going to come down to the date that they're looking at happens to coincide with Creighton's finals week. And so academics has to sign off on any kind of a change like that. And so that's why you didn't see an announcement last night. So they're hoping to figure something out there. If it does end up occurring that way, they'll plan on picking it up there at the start of the 4th inning with Nebraska up 1-0 and go from there. So that's kind of the plan. And I think it's probably worth adding too, it's not the worst thing in the world for either team, because, again, Creighton's got a big series on the road this weekend, and Nebraska has 4 with BYU with a pretty thin group of pitchers because of injuries and other attrition. So obviously both teams would have preferred to play the game and gotten that thing in last night, but ultimately it may not end up being the worst thing in the world for both these schools going into their respective series this weekend.
So Evan, this is Eric. Thank you always for joining us on the block. Much appreciated. What do you think, man? What is your mind telling you about what the ladies are doing over there at the softball complex? The way they're just dominating the field right now. What are you seeing out of them? Do you think they can make a deep run? Is it or is it just something that's happening right now just kind of organically?
Yeah, it's a cool story on the softball side. Really, it's kind of funny because the teams have sort of switched fortunes from last year. I mean, the baseball side was the one making the dream run last year, and now it's softball. And it's, I haven't watched all those games as closely, but it seems like they're doing it in the same way, in that they find different ways to win. Sometimes it's the pitching, locking things down. The defense has been pretty consistent, and then they can swing the sticks. I mean, it seems like every day there's a highlight of them, somebody hitting a home run or coming up with a big hit or run ruling somebody. And, it's such a momentum sport too, where once you get on a run the way that they have, it doesn't feel like you'll lose again. And by all accounts, the home crowds has been good, and the weather is generally quiet. You don't always expect it to in the Big Ten. And so, it kind of continues this narrative that we've seen this entire year, right? Where the men's sports have struggled and the women's sports have excelled and done the university proud. And I think softball, on the heels of what volleyball and women's hoops did, is certainly continuing that thing. And when you do well in softball, it can be such a fun thing. I mean, if onto the Women's College World Series, Oklahoma City, it's a major event, and it's a growing sport, and I think it brings a lot of excitement. And so if Nebraska can, make the postseason as it appears they're on track to do, and make some noise, man, that's a fun sport too. And as we know, Nebraska fans, they're going to back a winner. They're going to back somebody that they can identify with hard work and talent. And it seems like softball might be that next candidate to inspire some imaginations here in the next little bit.
And quickly, just back to the baseball side before we jump into some football stuff, is the question about that pitching rotation, and if that looks like it's going to get any better. Obviously, Nebraska baseball had a certain set of expectations coming into the season, probably aren't going to live up to that, but it's hard to imagine it getting too much better unless that pitching staff can kind of get shored up. What's it looking like there?
Well, there's not a whole lot you can do in season with the injuries. I mean, Kyle Perry's out for the year. He was your Friday or Saturday guy projected for the whole season. Jake Buns was a guy they thought maybe for the rotation, certainly for maybe a midweek or back into the bullpen type of guy. He's out and may not return. Colby Gomez was their projected closer. He'd been a freshman All-America type contributor there in the past, and he's dealing with some health stuff and inconsistencies. We may not see him. And then, Jackson Jelkin, who was probably their most promising freshman arm this year, just based on what he's done on the field, was removed from the team. So they're down, 3 to 4 relievers, 1 to 2 starters. We'll see if they get Cody Frank back this weekend. He was out for some precautionary health reasons. They're hoping that he can get back this weekend. But, at that point, you're just elevating everybody else. So guys that you had planned on maybe being midweek starters or cutting their teeth on those Tuesday or Wednesday games, they suddenly move into pretty high leverage roles. You're going to see some freshmen and some sophomores and some guys they had hoped to bring along sort of behind the scenes in big moments in Big Ten games. And so there's really not a lot you can do other than to hope those guys can rise to the occasion. Certainly you're stacking experience and building for next year with that. But the next couple of weeks in particular will be challenging because they do have a couple midweek games next week. They have the 4 games with BYU here this weekend. And then it'll start to ease up a little bit where you're about done with the midweeks and you just have the weekend series, and that'll play to Nebraska's favor a little bit more. But these next couple of weeks in particular, you're going to be digging deep onto the roster, and you're going to be hoping that guys have been preparing because they're going to get their shots whether they're ready or not.
And he's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald as we are kind of wrapping up some baseball talk. Let's get into the football talk. The spring game, of course, was this past weekend. Hard to know if you can get too much out of it, but I guess my first kind of question coming out of it is do you think that Nebraska can rely on those group of running backs this year? Can you envision Mark Whipple in the passing offense and Casey Thompson? Do you think that they would be willing to rely on the run if it is indeed the strength of their team?
Yeah, I was encouraged, I would say, by not just from what we saw on the Saturday, but throughout the spring from what we heard and things like that. I would say that that's probably one of the few positions where you feel like maybe they shored up some things and some things were established or decided. And, that's not a small thing to say, right? Like when you think about that position, the last handful of years, coaches have just been begging for somebody to take over as a feature back. And it just hasn't happened. I mean, we've had a lot of guys cycle through, whether that's injuries or ineffectiveness or whatever. And it feels like to me that the thing about this group is there's a diversity of a skill set there that maybe Nebraska hasn't had. So like, Anthony Grant, I thought was pretty impressive on Saturday. He's the shifty guy. He's the one who can pull away in space. And maybe take one to the house the way that a Nebraska back hasn't been able to for a few years. You have Jacques Ant, who is the big body bruiser, hard runner, who's you would think maybe an option on the goal line, especially, and who's slimmed down a little bit. You have Ramir Johnson, who's probably their fastest guy in a straight line and who's a threat to catch passes, right up there with anybody. And then Gabe Irvin, who was the starter for a lot of last year and had the ACL injury, he might be the most well-rounded of all those guys. Someone who coaches like as a pass protection guy, can catch passes, has the speed, can run between the tackles. And so it just seems like they have, again, that sort of diversity of skill set that they can insert guys into different situations and see them thrive this season. Now, of course, who knows how that plays out with what the offensive line does and with different areas of the offense, but it does seem like they have a number of different guys that you can point to and make the case that, yeah, these people can break out. And I forgot to mention A.J. Allen, who's a true freshman who was one of their biggest recruits in the class. He didn't enroll early, but you see it in college football all the time where these true freshmen, if they come in and break out at any position, oftentimes it's running back. So it does feel like they have a lot of outs, at least, for somebody to really take off with that running back job.
And of course, the spring game ended up being 54,000 plus people there. Not Nebraska's normal numbers, but still pretty good coming off a 3-9 season. Do you think that Nebraska should lean into the spring game a little bit more? I know they already make it kind of a big deal. They did a great job hosting recruits and kind of making it feel like a bigger stage, but it almost feels like, Nebraska's got that at least for them, is the attendance, is the fans, is to make it more of a destination type of thing. Maybe lean into the entertainment aspect a little bit more. I just think that, as far as the records that have been falling by over the last 20 years or so, the crowd still remains strong. And again, it might have been a little bit disappointing for Nebraska standards, but still, I believe at least last check, leading the nation as far as spring game attendance.
Right. Yeah. I mean, certainly by Nebraska standards, it was a little bit down. The enthusiasm was probably a bit down, and the format, I would imagine, played a part of that. But sure, yeah, on a national stage, you look around and people aren't drawing the way that Nebraska is. And I believe Nebraska is one of only a handful that charge money for tickets too. So they even made a little bit of coin there on the side. But, I was thinking about this week, guys. It seems to me like Nebraska needs to kind of define what it wants the spring game to be, because right now it just feels like maybe it's trying to be a little bit of everything to everybody, where, do you want the event to be for the fans, in which case maybe it needs to be more of a game format and be something that's a little bit more football traditional and enjoying to watch? Do you want it to be for the players and the coaches, in which case it's probably just another practice where you don't put much on tape and you keep guys healthy and things like that? Or is it a recruiting tool? And that's probably what it is closest to, I would say, from what we saw on Saturday, where you bring in, what they have, 30 plus guys that they'd offered, and probably well over 100 other, total visitors and things like that. Everything that I've heard from different guys, they coordinated the demonstrations well for the families. They had tours. They were really efficient with people's time. So, again, I think they probably pulled off what they were hoping to pull off, but I would just say that moving forward, maybe the challenge for the school and the football program would be to, again, define who that day is for, and then be really good at it.
And Evan, before we let you go, we can get some national storylines and opinions from you. How about Clayton Kershaw being pulled after 7 innings into a perfect game today? Can you even fathom this?
Yeah, I'm a big baseball guy, and that's tough. And it wasn't like it was one of those 7-inning, 120 pitch type deals. Yeah. He had 80 pitches through 7, and I guess I don't know what the score was. I think they were up 3 or 4 runs, maybe. But man, you've seen 23, 24 perfect games in Major League Baseball history, and you need 6 more outs to do that. From a guy who's meant a ton to your franchise over the course of his career, in Kershaw, I don't know. I get that we're in the analytical age, and that probably says you go to the pen and you worry about winning the game. But man, one game out of 95 or 100 that the Dodgers win, what does that really matter? In the scope of history, when you could, be enshrined as a perfect game thrower. So, not a fan of it. I guess I understand why they did it, but it doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. The other storyline I wanted to hear from you: Derek Carr now getting top 5 quarterback money in the NFL. Did the Raiders make the right move?
I guess all I can say is that, if you have conviction that you have your guy at quarterback, then pay him the money. You can figure out the rest of your roster, and you figure out your salary cap. But as we've seen, you can be in NFL purgatory for years and years if you don't have your guy, and you're going to be spending a lot of draft capital, and you're going to be recycling a lot of coaches and a lot of GMs if you don't have that guy under center. And so, I guess all I can say is, if you're the Raiders and you feel like Derek Carr can help you make a deep playoff run, and he can keep you in a shootout with the likes of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, then, best of luck, and put that money out there and keep that guy there. The Raiders have had a number of quarterback busts over the years. Jamarcus Russell probably being your most infamous, but, personally, do I think Derek Carr is a top 5 NFL quarterback? No, I don't. But if he's representing your city well, and if he's somebody who's getting you into the playoffs and giving you a chance, then I do think you have to pay him just because of how valuable that position is.
Yeah, I think you're right too. Representing some stability there for a new GM and new coach there for the Raiders as well. He's Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald. Evan, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks.
All right, there he goes. Once again, Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald joining us every Wednesday at this time. Of course, every day at this time is our opportunity to give you free chicken, but you have to earn it. You have to beat Strick in a shootout. It's time for Shootout with Strick. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. Call right now, 402-464-5685, and strive to break up Strick's perfect week. We talk about a perfect game. He's going for a perfect week right now, 2-0 on the week. It's your chance to break that up. Call right now, 402-464-5685, and beat Strick on Shootout with Strick. That's coming up next here on The Block on 93.7 The Ticket.
Work, laundry, dishes. I was exhausted. I needed a vacation, but finding a way to pay for it, not so easy. Then I found it. A research study at Solarion. I searched the studies and found a perfect match for me. It was so easy. I earned cash for the study and booked that vacation. Plus, I made an impact for medical research.
What's up with it?
At healthresearch.com.
Consider the risks of the research before you agree to participate.
You all right?
Body Shop, our
You
customer
sure?
service brand. That's the greatest compliment we can receive.
What's on your mind?
In an accident, we'll get you
What's
back
on
in
your
your
mind?
vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop.
Well,
just
what is
south
your
of
heart
88
telling you?
Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
People always ask, what are Jake and Sip like when they're off the air? Well, the answer probably won't surprise you.
Hey, Jake, your Honda's looking a little dirty.
Says the guy whose license plate is barely visible.
I mean, do you even care about that thing anymore?
It gets a little uncomfortable. Now, that's when I jump in.
Hey, whoa. Mark, did you get a new car?
Nope, just took my car down to Nebraska Auto Detail. Joe and the staff made the outside and the inside look amazing. Maybe you guys need to go.
Okay, wise guy.
Settle down, Jake.
Call Nebraska Auto Detail today at 402-601-5086.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight, mostly clear, cold, and windy. Overnight lows 28, west winds gusting to 30. Sunshine for your Thursday, still windy. West winds gusting to 35, highs in the upper 50s. I'm NTV Chief Forecaster Kent Boughton for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Another packed spring sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Stop by for great deals as April's beers of the month are Deschutes Fresh Squeeze IPA, Wild Onion Ubi Goober Hazy Peach IPA, and Belching Beaver Brewing. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch growler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street. There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Our Remington Homes has really expanded and taken off in the last 5 years.
Bob Benish of Aspen Builders, talking about their exciting new division, Remington Homes, which makes the home building process easier and more affordable.
The exciting thing about a Remington home is you get to choose your floor plan from predetermined floor plans. You can select your options. We give you a lot of choices. By selecting certain floor plans, they're just easier to build. And you couple that with our great lot selection in all different areas. People do not want to be married to their house payment. They want to get a nice house with nice finishes in a great area for an affordable price. And that's what Remington Homes are all about.
Home building is easier with a Remington home from Aspen Builders at 423-6811. Online at remingtonlincoln.com. remingtonlincoln.com.
It's time to play Shootout with Strick. Call now, 464-5685, to take your shot against Eric Strickland. Shootout with Strick. Brought to you by Buffalo Wings and Rings.
Time to play the game!
We got Strick on the drums over there on the Saturday Heyman Jewers video stream. I guess I could play some air guitar. And then we'll let Triple H's lead singer go ahead and take over from there. It is all about the game here. It's all about Shootout with Strick. Your chance to win $15 to Buffalo Wings.
It's all about the game. Strick is going for 3 in a row. I need to hear my music.
Hey,
whoever comes on this challenge, 402-464-5685, just understand that I'm going for the gusto because I need to hear the champ is here. The champ is here. That's what I'm going for today, baby. I'm trying to get that W.
Yeah, we made it
like the girls softball.
There you go. Yeah, they're always winning. You have to win like 15 in a row for that. But we're working on number 3, and we told you if you win 3 in a row, or if you win 4 out of 5 even in a week, we'll play the champ is here music for Strick. That's what he's going for today. We have Scott on the line. Scott, today's topic is the Timberwolves coming off their champion, or excuse me, they pretty much celebrated like it was a championship, but their playoff play-in victory yesterday. You big Timberwolves fan, Scott?
Oh boy, I picked the wrong time to call.
That's all right. Yeah, because either way you can. It's just either or questions, so that's at least the good news. And then of course a money ball there at the end, so it won't be too bad for you.
It's a good guessing game. If you were good in school with choosing the little bubble screens, you'll be all right today.
Yeah. You can't do too poorly. So we'll start with Strick, and then we'll get to Scott to see how many points he needs to get to. And either way, Scott, always remember that if Strick does win, you can always hang up and be caller number 3, and maybe you can win this chicken anyway, because Strick plays for the people. But Strick, are you ready to go? All right, let's go in 3, 2, 1. The Timberwolves lost to who in their only conference final appearance, the Lakers or the Kings?
Kings.
It was actually the Lakers. The Timberwolves play where? The Target Center or Verizon Center?
Target Center.
That is correct. Who is second all-time in total points for the Timberwolves? Andrew Wiggins or Karl Anthony Towns?
Wiggins.
It was actually Towns. 2020 number 1 overall pick Anthony Edwards played his college ball where? Louisville or Georgia?
Georgia.
That is correct. And this Timberwolves all-time leader in points and only MVP. Who is it?
Kevin Garnett.
That is correct. So you get 4 points there. Pretty good score. And we'll see if Scott can top it. Scott, are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go.
All right, here we go in 3, 2, and 1. This is the only Timberwolves player to win the most improved player, Kevin Love or Sam Mitchell?
Sam Mitchell.
It was actually Kevin Love. This Timberwolves point guard won the dunk contest twice, Sam Cassell or Zach LaVine?
LaVine.
That is correct. Who is the second all-time in assists for the Timberwolves, Wally Szczerbiak or Ricky Rubio?
Rubio.
That is correct. 2015 number 1 pick, Karl Anthony Towns played college basketball where? Duke or Kentucky?
Duke.
It's actually Kentucky. This Timberwolves traded Kevin Garnett to what team in 2007?
The Celtics.
That is correct. So that's 4 points for you, 4 points for Strick. That means we go to the tiebreaker, in which case Strick will give us a number. You just go over or under for that. So Strick, in their best season as a franchise, how many games did the Timberwolves win? This was in 2003, 2004.
52.
52 games, Strick says. So, Scott, for the win, was it above or below 52 games?
I'm going to say it was above.
It was actually 58 games. Their score. Scott, you are the winner. You stopped Strick from getting his music, and you win $15 to Buffalo Wings and Rings. So even though you're not a Timberwolves fan, thanks for sticking through and getting the win.
Absolutely.
There you go. And now, as always, you get your opportunity. You can talk trash to Sturk if you want to right now. He's far away. He can't come get you. Or you could just take the high road.
You know, I would never talk trash to one of the best basketball players ever.
Well, there you go. I agree with you. And you also deserve this, by the way. You get some shout-outs here.
Shakalaka! Give me a hell yeah! I said, give me a hell yeah!
There you go. Stone Cold is cheering for you there, Scott. Thanks for calling in and playing today. Hang on a second, and we'll have our producer hook you up with the free chicken. There you go. 2-1 on the week now, Strick. That was a close one, though. That was a good game for both.
One of those questions, I just needed one.
Somebody on the text line says you think you had 5 points. I think you only had 4.
I think
the last one's worth 2. You think you had 5 too?
I did have 5 because I had 3 and then a 2-pointer.
Let's see, because you got the Target Center, right? Or no?
Yeah,
maybe. No, we'll just go with 4 points.
No, I need to hear my music.
We already gave the
next
chicken.
line. So we didn't give him the chicken, but I'm still the champ is here. Boom, boom,
no, you gotta earn that one.
No, text line, way to step up, text line.
We'll go back and review it, and then for tomorrow, we'll see if we can put an asterisk next to your score. We'll wipe that loss if it needs to be wiped, and then you'll go for 3-0 tomorrow.
Text line, way to step up, way to step up. That's an instant replay on the text line, baby.
Yeah, we're gonna go check the instant replay at the end of the show and see if you deserve that win. I don't know if you did, but I guess they're saying so. So perhaps might
3 and
I'm not
3.
Greatest
Listen,
math.
wait, I missed 2, so I think it might be 4.
That's what I thought too, but
I missed 2 questions, so I think you might be 4.
I think so. We'll go double check. But at least Nate in the other studio says, you only got 4 points. But either way, no asterisks next to that one. 2-1 on the week. You can still go for 4 or 5 and get that music though.
Yeah, I still got 2 more to get.
Yeah.
We got it.
Nate, you got anything?
No, I just wanted to say, because I always keep track, Strick. I wanted you to get the Champ is Here music. I saw Bach producing it here during the commercial break. He was all for it. You got wrong. The Timberwolves lost to who in their only conference finals appearance? It was the Lakers. And then second all-time in total points for the Timberwolves, Karl Anthony Towns.
I didn't hear it was the conference finals. I knew that. I didn't hear it right.
There's a lot of pressure. And then
play the Price is Right. Didn't hear.
I've got one. How about this one? That's from NFL Blitz.
Or the Pac-Man.
Very depressing. Or what was the one in Mario where you fall and die? That's always a sad little story. I can't remember.
I don't know.
Something like that, I think. Before we get to break here, I wanted to bring this up too. JT Daniels of national champion JT Daniels of Georgia. Of course, he started last year, was eventually had his job taken over. He got injured, and obviously Stetson Bennett went on to win the championship there. So he decides to move on. He's going to West Virginia. Interestingly enough, Graham Harrell is the new offense coordinator and quarterbacks coach at West Virginia. So this will reunite Daniels with Harrell. Daniels started his career at USC, where Harrell was. So it's very interesting in that fashion as it is now JT Daniels' third stop. Also, just very interesting to me. I guess I'll follow along with it. I don't know how interesting it is to most people. You got to kind of be in the weeds for this one. But Graham Harrell was interviewed for the Nebraska offensive coordinator job. Ended up going, of course, to Mark Whipple. So now West Virginia's kind of got Nebraska's second choice, I suppose, for offensive coordinator and a transfer quarterback of their own that's highly touted. So will JT Daniels and Graham Harrell beat out Mark Whipple and Casey Thompson this year, do you think?
It's going to be an interesting thing. And here's the crazy thing about it. I want to know what the UIL money's like in West Virginia.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know.
They might have did something there. For what it's worth, I think he had Missouri. I mean, he had a couple other teams that were looking at him. So maybe that helped out a little bit. Of course, Nebraska, we've heard from Casey Thompson. Maybe that was something that kind of helped Nebraska grab Casey Thompson. So we'll see. And we're very excited to see what Nebraska does. But who knows? Maybe it'll end up with a Nebraska-West Virginia bowl game, and we can decide it on the field. But other than that, it'll just be it'll be off the field, and we'll kind of see who on the field, but still not direct head-to-head. Other news for West Virginia. This is West Virginia football hour, by the way. The backyard brawl between West Virginia and Pitt will now play an additional 4 years. They just signed up. So they haven't played since 2011. It's one of the best rivalries. These campuses divided by like 75 miles. They call it the backyard brawl. It's one of my favorite rivalries. And they obviously haven't played since being in the Big East together. But now they're going to play from 2002 to 2025. And it was announced today that from 2009 to 2032, they'll play as well. So usually I don't get too excited about future scheduling, but when it involves trying to prop back up the backyard brawl, I love it. There's plenty of former rivalries that don't get played today. Obviously, Nebraska-Oklahoma, Nebraska-Texas, and of course those Big 12 North rivalries in there as well. It's been great to go back to Nebraska-Colorado and Nebraska-Oklahoma over the last couple of years. So hopefully we'll see more of that out of every team that has lost their rival due to conference realignment. The backyard brawl is going to be back, so we're very excited about that. Let's take a quick break here on the block. When we come back, let's jump into the Derek Carr signing that we were talking about. Getting top 5 quarterback money, is he worth that money? We'll also jump into a few different things. Bob Stoops being part of the XFL reboot. Would he ever consider college football again? I mean, he's getting back into football. Also, NBA playing games last night. The Timberwolves celebrated quite a bit for getting the number 7 seed. Was that warranted? We'll talk about all that stuff coming up next year on the block on 93.7 The Ticket.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight, mostly clear, cold, and windy. Overnight lows 28. West winds gusting to 30. Sunshine for your Thursday, still windy. West winds gusting to 35. Highs in the upper 50s. I'm NTV Chief Forecaster Ken Fountain for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Naloxone is a drug used to safely reverse an opioid overdose and is now more readily available in Nebraska. I'm Dr. Rob Rhodes, a Nebraska family practice physician. I encourage you to learn how to respond to an opioid overdose and administer naloxone to potentially save a life by getting the free Opie Rescue app for your phone. Be Opie ready. Download Opie Rescue.
Paid for by the CDC. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services and aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Your home should not be a zoo to unwelcomed animals. Let the experts at Bats to Rats take care of those problems. Dane has been a leader in wildlife and pest management and prevention in Lincoln and the surrounding area for 15 years. He can help you get rid of bats, rodents, and anything else. Whether it's residential or commercial buildings, schools, apartments, or churches, they're always a phone call away. Call today at 402-310-0904 or visit batsterats.com. Bats to Rats Wildlife Control and Prevention.
Spring has arrived. Dust off your clubs and play the city. Lincoln City Golf Courses offer 5 different places to play, including Homes, Pioneers, Highlands, Mahoney, and the par 3 Jim Ager course. Plus, one membership gets you access to all 5 courses, or ask about a discount card that gets you 15% off all rounds. There's also adult classes with lessons for every level with Lincoln City Golf Academy. Learn more about membership and classes today at lincolncitygolf.org.
Brown Shoe Fit is gearing up for spring with new inventory on the way. They're stocking up on new spring sandals and athletic shoes daily in brands like Brooks, Hoka, Keen, Merrell, On, and many, many more. Browns has the local professionals to get the proper fit, aided by their high-tech foot scanner by Atrax. Spring is the season to be active and busy. Don't let your feet lose their support with old rundown shoes or sandals. Stop by Brown's Shoe Fit today, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Are you worried about storm damage causing issues with your basement? F Foundation Repair fixes basements with supreme waterproofing and exact concrete leveling for residential or commercial clients. They service wet basements, leaky walls, damp crawl spaces, bowing or cracked bricks or drywall, and more. Whether you're in Southeast Nebraska, the Tri-Cities area, or Northeast Kansas, they'll easily make the trip to you. Get a free evaluation today by visiting WeFixBasements.com or call 402-804-1024. F Foundation Repair. We fix basements.
Junior, hurry it up in there.
Honey, he's doing it again.
Doing what again?
Practicing for American Idol in the shower. I need in there.
Well, MemberZone is offering no-fee home equity lines of credit. We could use the value of the house to
Add a second bathroom? Say no more.
From adding another shower to all of life's in-betweens, you're headed in the right direction with a MemberZone home equity line of credit. Learn more at memberzonecu.org. Restrictions may apply. Federally insured by NCUA.
In today's day and age, people are trying to do more and more projects by themselves. That might be better on the wallet, but it can also lead to painful sounds like this. Ow! Poor guy, trying to do wiring all by himself. Let's have another listen. It's just not worth it. Don't hurt yourself or make things worse than they are already. For any of your electric needs, call Joe at Ambition Electric today at 402-217-3415 or go to ambitionelectric.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland.
Strickland for three. And you're going to go out of here as the Big 8 tournament champion.
93.7 The Ticket veteran and Ortega connoisseur, Jake Bakoven.
I like Ortega. I like pepper.
Coming at you live from the Coppel Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Sponsored by the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This is On the Block with Strick and Bach. Hold up.
Well. We are back on the block for the second hour once again. Thank you for joining us here every night, 4 to 6 Central Standard Time, or on Twitch, or on Spotify, or on Facebook. You can find us at all those places, or you can tap in on the app at 93.7 The Ticket FM app as well. So what we've been talking about, we wanted to get into this Derek Carr situation. Is he in the driver's seat? Is he rolling the whip? Derek Carr has just landed the big bag, $121.5 million contract extension over 3 years. And it's going to pair him up for a nice little ride with his partner, Davante Adams, who is one of the best receivers right now, definitely in the top 10, maybe even arguably in the top 5, aging though, and they're aging together, and they're going to age well there in Vegas for the next few years of their time together. I think maybe 5. So Derek Carr landing the big bag. One of the questions I have for you, Bach, this 1-2 combination of teammates, is this long lasting or is this lackluster in potential? How do you view this particular combination coming together? Derek Carr and Davante Adams both signing huge extensions there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, again, it's kind of fascinating because Derek Carr is obviously not a top 10 quarterback, not a top 5 quarterback, and he's getting top 5 quarterback money. But that's kind of when the deals come up, that's what happens, right? If you're even in that category, and I think he is a top half of the league quarterback, probably top 14 type of quarterback. I have him. I did my own list. I have him at 13th. But you can kind of argue over this guy or that guy there. But he's been proven there. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff as far as comeback victories last year. So you can kind of count on him in the moment, in the very least. And Davante Adams will be the best weapon that he's had in Oakland, I believe, or obviously transferring over to Las Vegas now
because he didn't have much time with Antonio Brown, who was supposed to be that for him. Would end up, that part.
Yeah, and so I mean, you give him the top, a top weapon in the league. I like this deal. I like it because the money. Some people kind of scares people away. I know there's other people that don't like the fact that they give him a no trade clause. I find that a bit odd because I don't think that he's quite that level of quarterback. But for what it's worth, this is not a long-term extension. This is basically a 3-year deal. Derek Carr's 31 years old. I think that he's got 3 years left in him, and you just need to nail it down as far as consistency goes. You just got a new new GM, a new head coach. Obviously, now that you're in Vegas, a lot of change in the organization. One thing that's been steady is Derek Carr, and they can keep it that way. The difficult conversation becomes, he's pretty much stuck. He's not going to be better than the third best quarterback in that division. But he is a quarterback that I think that you can win with. And, they've done some other things too. Chandler Jones is a big addition there to rush the quarterback outside of Crosby. So they've shored up that roster a little bit. Obviously, it was a playoff roster last year, despite all the turmoil coming from the Gruden situation. I like locking up their quarterback. Again, he might not have top end potential, but he keeps them right where they are, which is fighting for the playoffs. For the next 3 years, it's hard to imagine them upgrading. Well, what are they going to do? Go get Baker Mayfield?
All right. So that's what I was going to say. At the end of the day, when you really just look at the whole landscape and you take a peek at it, you realize that there's not much out there right now. There's a bunch of stopgap quarterbacks that are out there right now. This is probably one of the weakest quarterback drafts that are coming out. This is not a big one for that. So you're looking at a 3-year deal. Yes, you're giving him the big bag money, but at the end of the day, it gives him solidarity. It gives confidence. Josh McDaniels comes in out of the Belichick camp. Definitely a good offensive mind. But I think with that and with the instability and all the craziness that has gone on, then you have, the Henry Ruggs situation where could have been a great cornerback to match him up. A receiver to match him up with Devontae Adams, to have Ruggs and his overtop abilities and his speed to be able to really make a huge run. I know they've got some areas to rebuild there. I still think they've got enough weapons, but what he was able to do for them, a 3-year deal isn't something that's crazy. Like you're saying, it's not like 6 years or 7 years where at the end of the day, you're worried about, like, if all things go to hell in a handbasket, that, what are you going to do with this guy, this aging quarterback who's really a moderate quarterback out there? So I think it works. I think it works. When I look at Devontae Adams' number, second in receiving, in third in yards, catches at 123, third in yards, fifth in TDs. So he's a consistent guy, and last year almost surpassing 170 targets. You've got somebody that you can throw to, plus the confidence of knowing that this is a person you've connected to in combination before. And you guys started this whole journey together there in college at Fresno State, right?
Yeah. Nebraska actually beat him that 1 year. Amir Abdullah returned for a touchdown.
So, when you look at that in totality, I think it's a good deal there for them. And as we continue to look at the quarterback position, we kind of turn our tables a little bit. Do you have anything else to say more about that? I just really think when I look at it, the targets, it was Aaron Rodgers' go-to guy. He's not. This is a tough division. Everybody is beefing up. So you're going to need somebody who can create some separation. And Devontae Adams is a big, strong receiver, can peak balls. He can create that separation needed. How long can he do that is going to be the key for whether their success is there. I still think they need to continue to hone in on their running game. That's where I think Derek Carr is at his best. If he has to chunk it around on a regular basis, if they get down, if the defense basically, causes them problems by giving up so many, I just don't think that he's that type of guy that can sling the ball around. But I do think if they have a strong running game and they're able to kind of mix and match some things in there, if their running percentages is 45, 65, or I'm sorry, like 40, 45, 45 maybe, 50-50, 55-45, something like that with the run game, and then they're able to get over the top in their passing game. Yeah, I think they could have some success there. But what he did in bringing them into the playoffs, kudos to him, and congratulations on securing the bag.
Well, and it's kind of cool because he's kind of developed into, or I should say, established himself as a guy that you can't look the other way if you got a lead on. He has got 24 career comeback wins, and led the league in of them, I think, last year through his 8-year career. Obviously, when you look at the top 5 guys being paid now, the money comes to Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, and Derek Carr, right? One of those names sticks out from the others, right? And it is Derek Carr. So, I understand why there would be some people hesitant about the money you're throwing at him, but you've got everybody else. I mean, you've got everything kind of locked in, right? You got Devontae Adams. Don't forget Jacobs is a pretty darn good running back for him. The defensive line, they shored up a little bit. So this is the time to make the run. And I just don't know what the other opportunity would be. And just because it's a short-term deal, it doesn't bother me that much. It's 3 years. The no trade clause is the one thing that is a bit odd, because if he does, he's 31 years old. I don't see him having a massive drop off at any time, in the next 3 years, but you never know in football, right? So I feel like that's the one part that he probably got over on the Raiders here, is getting that no trade clause. Because he's not quite at, and like I said, I don't expect him to drop off, but he's not at those other guys' top 5 quarterback money where, like, I don't have a doubt in my mind that it's not going to happen. Guys age at different ranks, different, and injury could certainly change that. But if you're the Raiders, you basically have to do it, right? I mean, especially within that division. Somebody texts in, he's not going to be better than the 4th best quarterback in his division. And you're probably right. I mean, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, those are top 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks in the NFL types. So, it does give the Raiders an opportunity to kind of stick along with them. I personally don't have a whole lot of faith in Josh McDaniels. There's been a lot of guys that have had their first go round and then come back for their second chance and do much better. So it's certainly possible. I was obviously not impressed with McDaniels with what he did at Denver. Drafting Tim Tebow was the biggest mistake he probably made there. Sorry,
Kerfluffle.
Yeah. And then he's revived his career over there with New England in the offense. But we'll see. I mean, Belichick disciples haven't always done great either. So I don't think that the Raiders, I mean, if you ask me about that division again, it's so crazy how good it is. But the fact that they got Devontae Adams at least gives them an opportunity. And Chandler Jones, again, don't overlook Chandler Jones. He's got like the most sacks total, over the last 6-7 years, whatever that stat is. It would be either of them. I mean, he's been a sack master for years, so that's going to be huge for him. They've added to the roster, and now this just more than anything allows them to know where they're going, what the face of their franchise is going to look like for the next couple of years. And of course, at the end of that deal, you can kind of start to move on and look for something else. And so it gives them time for that preparation as well. 3-year deal. I mean, you could draft a quarterback in 2 years and start to prepare for that.
Yeah, and as we turn this over, I mean, hey, listen, Texas at the Sutter Heyman text line at 402-464-5685. Is this a 1-2 combination to get behind, or is this basically a potential downfall or lackluster in their production of just basically selling the dream to the Raiders organization? And maybe Green Bay saw something that other people didn't see and letting Devontae Adams go. So how do you feel about it? Texas there, Sutter Heyman text line, 402-464-5685. Let us know what you think about it. Now, as we move on to the other side, over to Cleveland in the Ohio area, obviously there's still a lot of turmoil there with the Deshaun Watson situation. It looks like there's been a negotiation between the attorneys that there's not going to be any type of trials or anything of that sort during the football season. So it doesn't look like there's going to be an issue. We still don't know what the NFL in their investigations have come out with, not that I've heard of up to this point. And then we also just it seems like Baker Mayfield, he went on a podcast and it sounded like he feels a little bit disrespected. Bach, is this okay for him to feel disrespected, or is it basically he's just kind of caught in his feelings?
I think it's both, right? I mean, it's certainly understandable, and basically he's coming from the inside, right? I mean, they told him one thing and they did another. That's why he's disrespected, right? Is that he thought that he was going to be the future of the franchise. And, you never know how late those conversations were kind of running up until the move was made for Deshaun Watson. Obviously, things started to get pretty ugly a few days before the Deshaun Watson move. But, so it's hard to say from the outside whether he should or should not feel disrespected, but it looks like it, and it's certainly understandable if he is. It's at the point where he doesn't want to play for Cleveland, right? I mean, being the number 1 overall pick, I think that the ego kind of has to play in this a little bit, and that ego is warranted and almost earned for what he's done in his career to be that number 1 pick, and there's certain expectations and understandings about working with that sort of guy. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but he'll be the first number 1 all pick in the draft to not last 4 seasons or fewer with a team since Jamarcus Russell. Speaking of the Raiders there, and Jeff George, those are the only other ones that will not have lasted 4 more seasons with their team. So it's rarefied air for him, right? It's not something that usually happens with your number 1 pick. You're usually going to get through another season with him. And I think the other part of it is that he could have opted for surgery after about week 6. He got injured on his shoulder. Could have opted for surgery, sat out the season. Probably would be the starting quarterback in Cleveland. If you think about a guy coming off the playoff appearance in which he did, and going, throwing 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, getting injured in week 6, he's a number 1 overall pick. It wasn't off to a terrible start through the first couple of weeks. It would be hard to say that they would move off from then. So the fact that he kind of played through the injury for his team might have ended up costing him. And so certainly if I were him, I'd feel a little bit frustrated and perhaps disrespected by the whole situation. And it's altogether weird, isn't it? Right? Like Deshaun Watson, we know on his talent on the field is top 5 quarterback potential, which seems to be more than what Baker Mayfield has to it. So football wise, that makes sense, but Cleveland doesn't even know. I mean, they want to keep him around because they don't know if Deshaun Watson's going to be able to play in the first couple of months. So right. It's very odd. And if I'm him, I understand the frustration and not wanting to do that, saying if you're moving off of me, let me go somewhere else. I'm not, I have established myself at least to the point where I am a starting quarterback in this league, or at least I'm young enough and have had enough success at this point in the league that I shouldn't be just some backup plan just in case your guy can't play for a few months. Find somebody else for that. Get me out of here. I want to start somewhere.
And see, and I think that's part of what you're saying, that the ego kicks in. The ego kicks in, I think, is multifaceted in that it kicks in from the fact that you were the number 1 overall pick in 2018, and you led the team to the playoffs in 2020. And then you come in and you're looking to rebound. I mean, you were literally that close. I mean, you're on the verge of really breaking through and making a run at a championship. And you're looking at that, and then you come up with an injury. And this is why I tell young players that if you're injured, the thing about being injured is that if you do not perform, you can't say it's the injury. And like for me, for example, I should have sat my butt down when I had a 2nd-degree high ankle sprain that I couldn't do the things, but do the things that you used to want to do, the cuts that you used to make, and play the defense that you used to be able to play. And what ends up happening is you don't perform to the level that you did prior to the injury. And the coach doesn't look at that. He says, if you're on the field, if you're on the court, then you need to be able to perform. And if you don't, the ire falls on you. You know what I mean? Because that's why I say, go sit down. Like you just said, go sit down, relax, let everything play out as it does. But the ego tells you, I can do it. Yeah. I can play. And that's how it was with me. And then you end up going to the tail end of the bench. And had it not been for, some injuries that next season that allowed me to get a lot of playing time in the exhibition season where I went nuts, I probably would have been at the tail end of the bench. Matter of fact, Don Nelson came to me and said, I'm sorry, Strick, but you're probably going to be the 12th player on this team. You know what I mean? And so that's what happened to him. And playing through those injuries, you think you're doing the right thing for the organization. You think you're doing the right thing. You're putting the organization first and putting yourself second. And yeah, that's a great hard thing. But if the numbers don't pan out for you, you can end up on the short end of the stick in those.
Well, of course, like you said too. I mean, it wasn't his plan to kind of flutter through the rest of the season. I'm sure it was okay. I got this injury, but I'm still the number 1 overall pick. I'm a guy that can show that I can play through it, and that will ultimately reward me with all I've given to this team. And that's why when you hear about or what he was saying too on the podcast too, is he's calling out for true Cleveland fans. And, Cleveland's got their own problem as far as their fan base goes. There's a lot of people that are very disgusted and are jumping ship. They don't want to be part of Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. They're not going to sign off on it. So he's probably got a strong group of Clevelanders that agree with him and would love to have him back, but it ultimately looks like the Browns are going to go in obviously a different direction. And I still think the Seahawks make a lot of sense. I knew they have Drew Lock. They kind of somewhat believe in him. Pittsburgh could work. I don't know.
I don't think they don't want to send him to Pittsburgh.
That's part of the
recipe
problem
for a potential disaster.
Yeah, I mean,
him coming back and biting you in the butt
in division. Yeah. But then there's also questions about him. Again, he sounded very mature on the podcast, but he's got his own whispers. Obviously, we saw him in college, having his own things where he's suspended and flipping off guys on the other team and all that other stuff. Is he mature enough? Is that something that somebody, you talk about maturity and how important that quarterback position is to be a leader in the locker room and all that stuff at the NFL level. You got to believe in your guy. Going into the huddle, if he's the play caller, that's something that's kind of sticking with him. And somebody off the text line points out, you wonder if that's changed because there are reports out of Cleveland that isn't the case, that he's still a bit immature for his age to be a team leader.
Interesting. That's an interesting thing to look at. Thanks for texting us on the Sauter Heyman text line. We love it when you guys tap in and give us your thoughts about things. And, if we have a segment, maybe next segment, if we can, if it works out, we'll try to take a caller or something. But we love to hear from you guys. The Honda Lincoln hotline is the same number at 402-464-5685. But we do appreciate you. We do have to take a break right now. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit of NBA basketball because it is still jumping off in the playoff play-in game. And we'll begin to see what's going to happen with that. It'll begin to take its course and solidify itself as to what the matchups will be after tonight. So come back and we'll talk about that right after this on the block.
This is your High School Minute.
With your Southeast Community College High School Minute, I'm Gus Cottle. Monday, April 11th. Lincoln Pius X Baseball defeated Seward 19-1 as Jake Bugbee of Pius homered and drove in 4 RBIs as the Thunderbolts had 21 hits. Lincoln Christian Baseball was able to defeat Fall City 10-2. Lincoln Southeast Baseball defeated Norfolk as pitcher Lauren Pasco struck out 6 for the Knights. For the Heartland Athletic Conference Baseball Tournament at Den Hartog Field, Lincoln East will face the winner of Columbus versus Grand Island at 3 p.m. At Sherman Field, Lincoln Southeast takes on Lincoln High at noon. And at Densmore Field, Lincoln North Star will take on Norfolk at noon. Lincoln Northeast will take on Lincoln Pius X at noon. And Lincoln Southeast will take on the winner of North Star and Norfolk at 3 p.m. This has been your High School Minute, sponsored by Southeast Community College with locations in Lincoln, Beatrice, and Milford. Learn more today at southeast.edu.
Old School with DP and J.
I learned this about the difference between the college game and the NFL. Every play is designed offensively and defensively for one guy to make a mistake, whether it's being out of your gap, forgetting the blitz, forgetting a check on offense, forgetting the snap count. In college, it might be explosive play, 15 yards, whatever you deem as explosive play. The pros,
all of them are house.
All of them are. The guy will hit his head on the goalpost.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. 93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
Your first alert weather forecast tonight, mostly clear, cold, and windy. Overnight lows 28. West winds gusting to 30. Sunshine for your Thursday, still windy. West winds gusting to 35. Highs in the upper 50s. I'm NTV Chief Forecaster Ken Fountain for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Hello, I'm Charlie Stone, back with the latest news from Honda of Lincoln. Joining me now is the general manager, Andy Goodyear. Hey, Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlie.
Hey, Andy, with spring right around the corner, how is your supply of new Hondas and pre-owned vehicles?
Really good, Charlie. As I've said before, when you drive by our lot, you don't see what you're looking for, just remember we have hundreds of new Hondas arriving soon, with Honda continuing to offer 0.9% APR financing to qualified buyers. Plus, we have over 125 pre-owned vehicles in stock and ready for immediate delivery.
That's great, Andy. Any more great news?
There is, Charlie. Honda just announced financing from 0.99% APR on certified pre-owned Hondas for qualified buyers.
So come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
Hi, welcome to Big Chain Bar and Grill. Can I get you a drink? Which game were you hoping to see? Doesn't matter. I don't know what channel the game's on anyway. Are you ready to order? Okay, here's your check. Come back and see us again, okay?
What?
Hey, welcome back into Upside.
Slow down and enjoy the game at the Upside Bar and Lounge. Comfortable seating, plenty of screens, a great food and drink menu, and no one trying to shove you out the door. Come in, hang out, and take it all in at the Upside Bar and Lounge, open daily just east of 27th and Pine Lake.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $22.07 per hour and other select jobs starting at $23.77 per hour, with wages growing up to $29.71 per hour. Continental also has salaried jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
You know you want that smoky, tangy, sweet, and spicy sauced and tossed Wingstop. But you just brought a haul of groceries home from the store. It's cool. No one expects you to shop and cook in the same day. So let the flavor experts at Wingstop hook you up with mouth-watering wings, crispy tenders and thighs, fries and sides delivered to your door. You can always cook tomorrow. That's why the fridge was invented. Get it delivered at wingstop.com.
Order online now from the new Wingstop located at 5001 O Street.
Spring has arrived. Dust off your clubs and play the city. Lincoln City Golf Courses offer 5 different places to play, including Homes, Pioneers, Highlands, Mahoney, and the par 3 Jim Ager course. Plus, one membership gets you access to all 5 courses, or ask about a discount card that gets you 15% off all rounds. There's also adult classes with lessons for every level with Lincoln City Golf Academy. Learn more about membership and classes today at lincolncitygolf.org.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome to Hitting the Hardwood on the Block. We're going to talk a little bit of NBA basketball. The play-in game is still jumping off. Some losses were taken. Some wins were achieved. Some celebrations seem like they just won the championship. We'll get all into that right now in this particular segment. Boxster, talk to me, man. I mean, listen. The Timberwolves ended up having a big game against the Clippers, and they found out there was a lot going on out there at the Target Center, man. It was celebration central. It was like they had a parade, like they just won the championship, or they was in March Madness, and they just came away with the trophy. You had Glue Girl Gate going on. Glue Girl Gate was popping off at one part of the game. And so the way that I look at it, and here's what I'll say. I mean, I'll just throw this out there. I mean, I didn't know how the Clippers would fare. I thought maybe Ty Lue and the group would get it done. But listen, those guys earned that home court advantage, and they took advantage of it. Karl Anthony Towns did what he's supposed to do as the leading man of that organization right now. He shined and showed up, and he provided what it was needed and necessary. Big time late game steal that our boy
Pat Beverly.
Pat Beverly, crazy Pat.
Yes.
Pat Beverly, talk S stuff back. Pat Beverly got the big steal for them late in the game to secure the win. But here's what I say, right? There is just some interesting things about that, right? Pat Beverly had obviously been with the Clippers. They moved on and let him go, and felt that he wasn't a significant piece to the success of the Clipper organization. And he finds himself there in the North Tundra of Minnesota. And I tell you, it is cold. Been there many a times in the wintertime, and woof, I tell you something, it is not a great sight to show up in the winter of Minnesota. But they got the win, and Pat Beverly, I think his leadership, his energy, his passion, his just willingness to do whatever it takes. And I think that I really do, Bach. I think that kind of fed in to the veins of the team in basically getting this done, because you saw the emotion on his face after they won. I mean, he was just very emotional, and he definitely gave it up to Karl Anthony Towns in the presser afterwards. What's your thought on that win? I know you were thinking that Ty Lue would get it done, but they came up a little short in this playing game.
Yeah, it's interesting for Tyronn Lue and the Clippers on that side. Now they're awaiting the winner of tonight's game, where they're playing for the 8th seed there between San Antonio and New Orleans. Not good for the Clippers, because now you got to go up against the Suns if you do win that game, which you never want I think they'll beat the Spurs. I think they'll beat the Pelicans if they ended up going into those games, but you never want to put your game in your season on the line in a one-game scenario. But they were on the road, and Patrick Beverly is like, he's just like a booster for a home crowd, right? Like, you already get the home crowd benefit of calls and just the momentum kind of riding your way, but Pat Bev boosts that up a little bit, and so it was kind of cool to see. I know there were a lot of jokes on Twitter about them looking like they won the championship, but I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly why I feel this way, but whenever I think of the Timberwolves, I think of like a united fan base, right? Because in the NBA, it's a lot about the players more so than the team. So a lot of people just kind of follow their favorite players around the league. But, geographically, and, if you're close to the Twin Cities, you've probably been a Timberwolves fan for quite some time. And it's just never all that easy. It's been since 2004, I believe, since they went to the playoffs, other than the 1 year they were the 8th seed with Jimmy Butler and that group, and Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns and those guys, but they didn't get it done. And so it's been pretty tough to be a Timberwolves fan. So you could see it, kind of the emotion in the building. There was there was Kevin Garnett jerseys everywhere. So, these are a lot of longtime Timberwolves fans. So to kind of get over that hump, to make sure you get into the playoffs, and D'Angelo Russell said it too in the post-game report, is that the NBA has kind of put this additional obstacle for the Timberwolves. They went 46-36. More often than not, that earns you a spot into the NBA playoffs. But now there's the play-in situation, so it kind of made it a little bit more difficult. We talked about before how the West it doesn't make any sense for them to do this, because the 7 and 8 seed are clearly far ahead in the standings, at least 6 games ahead of the 9 and 10 seed. It might make a little bit more sense over there in the East, but it was huge for the Timberwolves. It was cool to see Ant Edwards too, such a young guy, step up. It's almost like and I've heard him say before in his pre-draft stuff, actually, but that he's not necessarily an all-in type of basketball guy. You've heard the same thing about Kyrie Irving. You know, they're not going to extend their career to the end just for the love of the game, that sort of thing. And that scared some people. But, I mean, is he developing well?
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell, also a guy that maybe gets a little bit overlooked. Remember when he was in Los Angeles, he had that problem with Nick Young and the girlfriend situation or whatever. He had to mature into really being a really good piece in Brooklyn, and getting them to the playoffs a few years ago kind of started that rebuild to the point to where it would be interesting or actually like intriguing for KD to want to set up shop there and get it going there. Obviously had that short stint in Golden State that didn't work out as kind of the third piece there. And so he's a guy that's been an all-star and is kind of veteran presence that they can rely back on. So I kind of like this roster. And then there's Pat Bev, like we said, really, I mean, he does this every year. I mean, I kind of mixed feelings about this, I suppose, because Pat Bev will do anything to make the game about him, more so than anybody that's ever averaged 7 points per game I think I've ever seen. Is that he really, but I mean, to the point that he's drawing technicals for Marcus Morris, I mean, it's actually working. He doesn't just do it because for fun. He's actually is a pest. He gets people going and can get frustrations going. And then there was the additional fact that he was on the Clippers for 4 years trying to get them over the top. He, very much puts everything into his game. And they decided to walk away from him. So for him to be able to get this moment was absolutely huge for him and the franchise. And so, maybe the antics of standing on the table and throwing his jersey out there, maybe over the top, but you saw the tears in his eyes. Like this was not fake emotions. This was real. This was him being in his moment. And for what it's worth, absolutely do it. I say it somewhat jokingly that there's always a Patrick Beverley Day every year in the playoffs or, in the Christmas Day a few years ago. But if you do that, I mean, why not? Why not show up in that at times you can win a game, can be that important for your franchise, and just to say, hey, Patrick Beverley, myself, I can come in here and make that difference. And he did to a degree there. I think Ant Edwards and D'Angelo Russell might have had a little bit more to do with it, but his steal there at the end was very big.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, if there's any confusion with how this play-in tournament works, obviously we'll just give a brief discussion about it. I mean, the 7 and the 8 team plays each other in a game, and then the 9 and the 10 play each other, where whoever wins the 7-8, they receive that 7th seed spot. And then whoever, as the Clippers did in losing this game, they will await the winner of San Antonio and New Orleans, who are both the 9 and 10 seeds. Obviously, 9 being New Orleans, 10 being San Antonio, because New Orleans has the home court advantage. And whoever wins that game will go on to play the Clippers to be for the 8th slot. And then whoever loses this game tonight, where, as I said, San Antonio will play New Orleans, they will be ousted out of the playoff picture. The same thing on the other side. The Cavaliers will play the victor of the Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks, where, obviously Cleveland had lost to Brooklyn, and they came up short, and that's why it's working out that way. 7 p.m. tonight on ESPN, the Hornets will play the Hawks. In the Eastern Conference side, and in the Western Conference side at 9:30 on ESPN, the Spurs will play the Pelicans. Now you had Glue Girl Gate. Obviously, that was something that was just something thrown in there where she got arrested but taken out by security.
Glued her hand to the court.
Glued her hand to the court, but I'll tell you what, the court is probably the hardest thing to glue yourself to because of all the gloss that's on it. I'm sure it didn't work very well.
It looked like it was Elmer's glue or something. I don't think
it didn't really work very well. I don't think it was the real sticky glue that we're talking about, that Gorilla Glue type. But nonetheless, she seems to be protesting the alleged animal rights abuses at an egg farm for Glenn Taylor, who is the owner right now, until I think Mr. Lohr and Alex Rodriguez, they have to pay in increments to take over the ownership. So they have to build up their ownership stakes to be able to take over. And so Glenn Taylor is still the owner right now. So she was there protesting Animal Lives Matter for the egg harvest. And when they had a situation where they had the avian flu, I think, or something of that nature, she was protesting that because they had to kill so many of them. Okay, so we got through that gate as well. But at the end of the day, we also have the Nets and the Celtics are going to match up. We know that matchup's going to happen. Who do you think's in danger of missing the playoffs between? Who do you think will come out the victor between the Celtics and the Nets? And who do you think will miss the playoffs between the Cavs and the Clippers?
I think probably the Clippers are going to get in. It's kind of interesting with the Clippers potentially being the 8th seed. On the other side of it, or you have the Hawks who potentially could be the 8th seed there if they win tonight and then win their game against the Cavs. Those are both Western Conference and Eastern Conference finals last year. So it's kind of weird that those might go from that to the 8th seed or whatever it may be. They might fall to the playoffs altogether, the Hawks tonight, if they lose. But I think that the Clippers probably, again, we mentioned it, the West it's a joke of a play-in tournament because the 7 and 8 seed are far better than the 9 and 10 seed. Whereas tonight, the play-in game on the East is actually intriguing and I believe worth watching. Charlotte and Atlanta, like I said, Charlotte's an upcoming team, and we'll see. They've been rumored to maybe want to get Russell Westbrook. That could blow it up. So I'm interested to see what Charlotte does. And then Atlanta, like I said, was in the Western Conference Finals last year. Trae Young was put on the map. So I can't wait for that game tonight. As far as the Celtics and Nets go, the Nets knocked the Celtics out of the playoffs last year. Different group. Unfortunately, the Celtics are the best defensive team in the league, but they're without one of their best defensive anchors in Robert Williams for this matchup. We saw last night, if you watched the Nets game, Claxton absolutely was getting alley-oop left and right there at the end as they were spreading the floor. And so that could be potentially damaging for the Celtics. I like the fact that they've got Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going at the same time. That was a question for a long time. Would you have to trade one of those guys? I think that question's been answered. Obviously, I think with that injury, I'd give the Nets the slight benefit of the doubt, but they're going to probably have to do it, close out the game in Boston if it does go to Game 7 because Boston has the advantage there. I'll certainly be cheering for the Celtics, but I'll say this for either team. Tough road. They're likely going to have to, beat each other, which is an obstacle of itself, and then probably play the Bucks and then play the winner of the 76ers and the Heat before you even get to the championship game. So that's a lot to expect either team. I don't think either team's going to win a championship this year because it's too much of a gauntlet.
Yeah, I think it is a big gauntlet, but one of the things to speak about the Celtics that I found very intriguing, as you talked about, we were trying to figure out at the early injury with Brown, how would they be able to gel? People were talking about getting them traded and moving them around and splitting them up and all of that. But take a look at it. J&J in their past 8 games, Jason Tatum had 31, Jaylen 32, 23, 28, 34, 31, 26, 26, 36, 25, 30, 30, 32, 30, 26, 26. Great balance. They're figuring out how to play together, how to gel together. They're moving the ball tremendously better, and it's put him in a great position to be able to make a run at a championship here. We're up against it right now. We got to take a little break. We can dig into this one all day. There's so much information and so many stories that we can dig into. But unfortunately, we got to take a break to pay some bills. We'll be back to finish out the segment right after these messages.
In every office, there's 2 types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
At first, I was really nervous and intimidated to buy a ring. I wasn't sure what I was getting into.
My experience at Starter Heyman was very easy. I felt like I walked out of Starter Heyman with the
the ring that was going to make her go wow and say yes.
I love my ring. It is so beautiful.
I absolutely love my ring. I get compliments on it all the time. I always tell them Starter Heyman.
Yeah, we would definitely recommend Starter Heyman.
Yeah, it was great. We're
definitely coming back in the future.
Sauter Heyman Jewelers, Lincoln and Grand Island. SauterHeyman.com.
Hi, welcome to Big Chain Bar and Grill. Can I get you a drink? Which game were you hoping to see? Doesn't matter. I don't know what channel the game's on anyway. Are you ready to order? Okay, here's your check. Come back and see us again, okay?
What?
Hey, welcome back into Upside.
Slow down and enjoy the game at the Upside Bar and Lounge. Comfortable seating, plenty of screens, a great food and drink menu, and no one trying to shove you out the door. Come in, hang out, and take it all in at the Upside Bar and Lounge, open daily just east of 27th and Pine Lake.
Hey, sports fans. Rico here with HIS Auto Care 70th and Van Dorn. Carfax recently awarded us as a top-rated auto service center for 2020, and Lincoln Choice Awards voted us as the 2021 top independent auto repair center. Call us at 402-488-8934 for superior service bumper to bumper. Mention this ad and get 7% off. Doesn't get any better than that. Rico for his Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's been a great start here to the year as 2022 new inventory continues to roll in. Our pre-owned lot remains full, and we are selling at a record pace. I was just down at Koppel talking about a new order for myself, and they let me know I can actually start ordering a 2023 here later this spring. So stop on in to get your new 2022, your pre-owned vehicle, or maybe talk about ordering here for 2023. Check them out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did.
Another packed spring sports season means it's time to get to N Street Drive-In to fill up on all your beverage needs. Stop by for great deals as April's beers of the month are Deschutes Fresh Squeeze IPA, Wild Onion Ubi Goober Hazy Peach IPA, and Belching Beaver Brewing. Also, make sure to download the new N Street Drive-In app to order online and to set up delivery right to your front door. And don't forget their top-notch growler fill system. N Street Drive-In, your one-stop beverage stop at 1801 O Street.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com. Fruitcakes are just for Christmas, right? Gosh, I feel sorry for you. I mean, what if we had done that with bacon? Bacon is only for breakfast. We'd never have bacon cheeseburgers. We'd never be able to save a salad by adding bacon bits. We'd never have Brinner. That's breakfast for dinner. Don't limit yourself. Fruitcakes for St. Patrick's Day. Fruitcakes for graduation. Fruitcakes for Thursday. Beatrice Bakery and Grandma's Fruitcakes are perfect for every occasion. Check them out in downtown Beatrice or online at BeatriceBakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to On the Block with Strick and Bach on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wrapping up things here on the block on a Wednesday as we can talk some XFL football. This isn't 2001. This is actually 2022. Of course, they've tried this league a few times here, but we'll see if they can get it going. They have announced their head coaches that they will have in the 8-team league. They have not announced where the coaches will be coaching from or where, you know, what
teams. Yeah, they don't know which teams are going to be, but we do know that the one we're going to be talking about right now was with the Dallas Stampeders, or I think that was the Dallas Renegades. He was with the Dallas Renegades, but they just don't know. They don't know where they're going to go yet.
Yeah, because they're still figuring things out. They don't even know if they're gonna, go from those different locations or have a central location that they're gonna play all those games. They're still trying to figure it out. It's always tough to build a football league, but they have some good names involved in this. Dean Blandino. I don't know if this helps with the credit of the officials or not, but he's going to be the head of officials. Of course, a long time there in the NFL and as an analyst over officiating over the last several years. But the big name in this league, there will be a few of them, but the big one for us, at least in college football world, is Bob Stoops, who was going to be a part again of the XFL reboot already. Obviously did coach the Oklahoma Bowl game this past year. Very cool moment. And interested in getting back going with the XFL. Obviously, as a football fan, I would love to see Bob Stoops back on the sideline. So that will get me going a little bit. I don't know if it'll carry over enough. I'd rather see him in the college football world, but it seems like this is more of a lax job, I believe. I don't know. Obviously, you're not dealing with alumni and different fan expectations and all of that. You have a bunch of professionals, kind of at the the next level, semi-professional type of level, right under the NFL and all that. It's fascinating. I kind of just wonder what went into his thoughts of I'll be interested in an XFL type gig, but I'm not getting back into college football.
I think for me, Bob Stoops is like the John Gruden of college football for me. I just think, watching him pace up the signs of faces that he makes when things are not going well. But yeah, I mean, he finished OU with 191-48 record, 10 conference titles, championships, and a national title in 2000. When he retired in 2016 and left Oklahoma, I think we lost a good one there. And I think what happens is as you're sitting at home and time begins to pass and you're looking at things are shaking out and the way things are changing, I think you kind of start getting an itch. And I think this is a good way for him to scratch that itch, to get to a little bit lackluster, not as much of the pressures that come down from having those owners overlooking you. I think it gives you a good opportunity to be able to kind of, test the market, test the waters before you dip into the jacuzzi and see how hot it is and see if you love it the way that you love it or you miss it the way that you miss it. I think it's a good place for him to be. I love the people that are joining him. Rod Woodson, Hall of Famer, Hines Ward also there. Wade Phillips, great longtime coach. Jim Haslett, Terrell Buckley, solid player himself. Anthony Beck and Reggie Barlow, the coaches that they're going to be looking at. Obviously, they got time, February 2023. There's still some time left, and we'll see how it shakes out and where they end up and if there's going to be any following and what type of different schisms that they throw out there into the game. I don't know. What are they going to do? Is it going to be WWE kind of flavor to it? Is there going to be some crazy stuff happening on the field? There going to be some stop drop and DDTs and Stone Cold Stunners out there. I don't know what's going to happen, but we're going to see. Being that the Rock's involved.
Yeah, more likely the Rock bottom because the Rock is the owner now. He bought it from Vince McMahon. I still have my questions, obviously, of any football. I know they're trying for the spring league, not directly competing with the NFL, but any professional league not named the NFL has flamed out, and I'm sure it'll happen again. But the Rock at least gives you an opportunity. I mean, I think that guy's one of the most recognizable faces across the country, and he's obviously
greatest marketers. We missed him on that marketing segment we had too. Oh, yeah. He's one of the better marketers that he marketed himself.
That's right. Yeah. Opening up the Super Bowl even this past year was very cool. They've got this minor deal with the NFL where they can kind of test things out. I still think the USFL and XFL should be working together, though. And maybe there's a merger at some point where they do, because I mean it's such an uphill battle. I think if I don't want to have some good here, some good there, but not enough either place to make it. I'd rather combine their ideas and get the best out of all the personalities that they have. But we'll kind of see how that turns out. Unfortunately, we are up against it. We are running out of time, but there's plenty of good programming still from Ticket Weeknights. Up the middle with the baseball guys will be here to start things up. Roofing with Raf and AD. Always a great program. They'll have another great guest tonight, and then the volleyball girls will stop in. So there's no reason to touch that dial. Just get some popcorn going, make yourself comfy, turn up the radio dial or wherever you're doing it. You can do YouTube, Twitch, Facebook. We mentioned all those things earlier. Great way to do it. But that'll wrap it up for On the Block. Thanks again to Strick, and thank you to you guys for listening to us today. We'll be back for our Thursday edition of the show tomorrow, Thirsty Thursday. We'll see you then.
This is your High School Minute.